Bugatti want £20,000 to service my Bugatti Chiron. Today, we're going to do it for a lot cheaper. It's a well-known fact. Bugatti Chirons are expensive to maintain.
£20,000 service is 18,000 plus VAT.
A $2 million warranty, a VIN locked by a factory in France, and a British mechanic with nothing left to lose. When Mat Armstrong bought a wrecked $6 million Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport with no factory support and no official parts, he did not file a complaint. He started building. What followed was a rebuild that exposed something the hypercar industry had never wanted, documented on camera: Audi airbags inside a Bugatti.
Apart from the airbags, the passenger airbag has gone, but there is some signs that somebody got injured in there. There's a lot of wiring repair that needs doing on that, and chassis work.
A coolant pipe fixed with brake hose, and a warranty structure that revealed more about who truly owns these machines than any press release ever would. In this video, we are going to discuss the warranty paradox, the part number that broke the internet, and the rebuild that changed everything. Let us get into it. The warranty paradox: when Bugatti sells you a Chiron, they do not simply hand over a set of keys and wish you well. They hand over something far more significant: a promise. A 4-year, unlimited mileage factory warranty that covers every mechanical component, every electrical system, every piece of paintwork, and every structural element of the car from the moment it leaves Molsheim. No mileage cap, no exclusions for normal driving wear, no hidden clauses that disappear the moment the car gets used the way a car is supposed to be used. It is, by any measure, one of the most comprehensive factory warranties offered by any manufacturer anywhere in the world, and it is built directly into a purchase price that starts at around $3 million and climbs steeply from there. The 4 years of complimentary servicing that sit alongside that warranty are not a minor footnote. Annual service on a Bugatti Chiron runs to approximately $11,500 for a standard yearly inspection. Every 4th year, a major service interval, costs in the region of $34,000.
What do you expect? It's a super expensive car. Of course it's going to be expensive to maintain. But what if that £20,000 service cost
spread across 4 years of comprehensive factory coverage, the total value of what Bugatti includes in the purchase price: servicing, warranty repairs, parts replacement, factory support, comfortably exceeds $2 million for most owners. Mate Rimac himself pointed this out publicly when the Mat Armstrong saga began generating headlines. The warranty and service package, he argued, were backed into the price. The car was not as expensive to maintain as people thought. The factory took care of it. But warranties, even the most generous ones ever written, come with conditions. And Bugatti's conditions are both straightforward and absolute. The warranty becomes void the moment any modification occurs to the mechanical components of the car. It becomes void the moment a repair is performed by any party outside Bugatti's authorized network. It becomes void the moment a non-factory part is installed into a system that Bugatti considers safety critical. These are not unusual terms. Virtually every automotive manufacturer writes similar clauses into their warranty agreements. What makes them extraordinary in the context of the Bugatti Chiron is the sheer financial scale of what voiding them represents. For an ordinary car with a 2-year warranty, a voided agreement might cost an owner a few $1,000s in uncovered repairs. For a Chiron, it means walking away from a coverage package worth more than most people earn in a decade. Mat Armstrong walked into this situation with both eyes open. The Chiron Pur Sport he had acquired from a Copart auction in Miami already carried a salvage title, meaning the original warranty had almost certainly already been compromised by the crash and the insurance write-off process. But the deeper principle remained live and relevant. By proceeding with an independent rebuild, by installing non-factory components, by fabricating parts from scratch, by making structural modifications to the body of the car, Armstrong was not simply fixing a vehicle. He was making a definitive statement about who truly has the authority to decide how a privately owned machine is repaired.
Splitting the car in half, fixing the broken gearbox mounting, putting the car back together, repairing the interior, fitting the airbags, making the radiators, the front end.
And Bugatti's warranty terms, written to protect both the brand and the buyer, were about to find out what happened when those two interests pulled in completely opposite directions. The question worth sitting with is this: at what point does a warranty designed to protect a buyer become a mechanism for controlling them? When the factory locks the VIN, blocks every official parts channel, and refuses to engage with an independent rebuild, they simultaneously invoke the warranty as a reason to stop and remove any possibility of keeping it intact. It is a closed loop. Comply with our conditions and bring the car to France, or proceed independently and lose the coverage. For a salvage car that Bugatti had already written off and abandoned, the warranty argument was, in practical terms, entirely theoretical, but the principle it exposed was anything but. The part number that changed everything. There is a moment in every major investigation, one single detail that reframes everything that came before it. For Mat Armstrong's Bugatti rebuild, that moment did not arrive with a dramatic reveal or a carefully timed announcement. It arrived quietly, during a routine parts teardown, when someone looked up a part number, and the search results came back with an answer nobody in the hypercar world wanted to see published on YouTube. Armstrong and his team had stripped the wrecked Chiron Pur Sport down methodically, working through the crash damage with the precision that filming for a global audience demands. When they reached the airbag systems, the process was straightforward. Document the damage. Note the part numbers. Attempt to source replacements. What those part numbers returned stopped the entire room. The knee airbags in a $6 million Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport share an identical part number with the knee airbags in an Audi A3.
The windscreen out and all of the deployed airbags. Everyone who's got an Audi A3, you have a Bugatti knee airbag.
The front passenger airbag is the exact same component, available from aftermarket suppliers for less than $50 each. Not similar parts. Not components from a shared Tier 1 supplier with different calibration settings. The same physical object, same number, same fitment. Sitting in a vehicle that costs more than 100 times what the Audi it shares it with sells for. And the steering wheel airbag? That one traces back to an Aston Martin DB11, a completely separate manufacturer.
This is the all-new Aston Martin DB12, which only got released this year. This Aston Martin DBX was fully submerged underwater, which caused catastrophic engine failure.
Outside the Volkswagen ecosystem entirely, but the same part. This landed on the internet like a brick through glass. Bugatti is, of course, part of the Volkswagen Group, the same industrial giant that owns Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, and Bentley. Some degree of parts sharing across that family was not entirely surprising to informed enthusiasts. But Aston Martin sits outside that structure completely. The DB11 is a British Grand Tourer with no corporate connection to Bugatti whatsoever. The fact that their steering wheel airbags share a part number suggests a component-sharing architecture in ultra-luxury safety systems that operates far above and beyond any single corporate group. A shared infrastructure that the entire industry had quietly relied upon while its marketing insisted on total exclusivity. For Bugatti owners who had paid the full factory price, the revelation was deeply uncomfortable. The myth of $6 million engineering, the idea that every atom of the car exists in a universe entirely separate from mass production, had just been punctured by a parts catalog search that anyone with internet access and 30 seconds could replicate. For Armstrong, it changed his position entirely. If the Chiron had left the Molsheim factory with Audi airbags installed as original equipment, then reinstalling airbags from the same Audi platform was not a compromise. It was factory correct by another route. And that made Bugatti's warranty void argument, already weakened by the VIN lock controversy, almost impossible to defend with a straight face. The question that followed was the one nobody at Bugatti wanted asked. If their own engineers had specified a $50 Audi part for the world's most expensive production car, what exactly were the other $5,999,950 actually paying for? The improvised hypercar There is a version of this story where Mat Armstrong's rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport is a clean linear process, a sequence of engineering challenges met, one after another, with ingenuity and precision. The reality was considerably messier than that. With every official supply channel closed, with no factory support, and with a car whose complexity sits at the absolute outer limit of what a private workshop can reasonably be expected to handle, the rebuild became a series of improvised solutions to problems that the people who built the car had never imagined anyone outside Molsheim would be asked to solve. Some of those solutions were elegant, some were genuinely concerning. All of them told the story of what it actually means to fix a machine of this caliber without the institution that created it. The radiators were the first major fabrication challenge.
Me and my dad are going to fit the radiator on the right-hand side with the AC rad.
The front-end impact had destroyed the factory cooling system components, units that Bugatti designed specifically for the Chiron's thermal management requirements, and that were, predictably, unavailable through any official channel given the VIN lock. Armstrong's team built replacements from scratch. Custom fabricated radiators, engineered to fit the Chiron's specific dimensional requirements and cooling demands, installed into a car whose manufacturer had stated that the only appropriate repair environment was their factory in France. When those radiators held pressure and the coolant temperature settled in the high 190 to low 200-degree Fahrenheit range during the first engine startup, it was one of the cleanest vindications of the rebuild approach. A handmade component performing correctly inside, one of the most thermally demanding powertrains ever fitted to a road car. The coolant pipe fix told a different kind of story. When a pinched coolant overflow pipe needed attention,
this just bolts down each side, and then there's actually a little coolant pipe which runs through it. Hence why we had to drain some of the coolant to do all the spark plugs and coils.
And no factory parts were coming. The solution was a section of rigid brake hose, not a bespoke engineered component, not a precision machined replacement sourced from a specialist supplier. A length of brake hose, repurposed to carry coolant in a $6 million hypercar. It worked. The thermal system functioned correctly, but it stands as the most visible symbol of what the VIN lock had actually produced. Not a safer outcome, not a better quality repair, but a situation where the most valuable road car in a British workshop was being fixed with whatever creative alternatives were available when the official options were gone. The fuel tank pressure sensor incident came closest to ending the entire project. Working to reassemble the front and rear sections of the car after the structural repairs, Armstrong's team accidentally pinched the sensor between body sections, squashing it in a position where it could no longer be rotated to connect the necessary plug. The problem was not just the damaged sensor itself, it was what fixing it required, because the sensor was now inaccessible through normal means.
When we fixed the Bugatti, I repaired this wire here on the crash sensor.
Correcting the error risked undoing the titanium bolt sequence that held the monocoque together, and repeatedly cycling those bolts carried a genuine risk of splitting the chassis that had already been through a major structural repair. The words that nobody in a rebuild workshop wants to use, split and chassis, suddenly occupied the same sentence. Armstrong's solution was characteristically direct. He replaced the damaged sensor and then modified the access point by carefully cutting a small opening in the body that allowed the sensor to be reached without requiring full disassembly. It was an improvised fix to an improvised problem, and it added another non-factory modification to a car that was accumulating them steadily. Every cut, every fabricated component, every repurposed part from another vehicle's parts catalog. Each one added to the distance between this Chiron and the factory warranty that had, theoretically, attached to it when it left Molsheim. The car was becoming something the factory had never made, and it was doing so, precisely, because the factory had chosen to make the official version unavailable. Perhaps the single detail that captured the absurdity of the entire situation most precisely came when Armstrong noted, during a moment of close inspection, that the accelerator pedal of the Bugatti Chiron, the component that controls 1,700 horsepower of W16 output, is a piece of molded plastic, not billet aluminium, not a precision-machined component befitting a $6 million machine. A molded plastic pedal, the kind of part that could be found in far more ordinary vehicles. At some point in the improvised rebuild of the most expensive car in the workshop, the gap between mythology and the reality had become impossible to ignore. What Rimac said and what Armstrong did, there are arguments that resolve cleanly, where one side presents the stronger case, the other concedes, and the matter settles. And then there are arguments like this one. The kind where both parties are right about something fundamental, wrong about something equally fundamental, and the collision between their positions produces a question neither of them can answer alone. The public confrontation between Mat Rimac and Mat Armstrong was exactly that kind of argument, and it became one of the most watched corporate versus individual disputes the automotive world had ever produced. Not because either side was dishonest, because both sides were telling the truth about different things simultaneously. Rimac did not challenge Armstrong's legal right to own the car. He did not dispute that the VIN lock had created a genuinely difficult situation. Instead, he went straight to the technical core, and specifically, he went to the airbags. His case was precise. Airbag systems are not interchangeable components the way a fluid reservoir or bracket might be.
Reset. We could have literally reused this airbag. It could have been re-rolled, back in there, resealed, and a new explosive put on. We could have done that.
They are calibrated devices, engineered to deploy at specific speeds, in specific sequences, in response to crash sensor inputs unique to the structural architecture of the vehicle they sit inside. The geometry of the cabin, the sensor placement, the crumple zone design, the deployment timing, all of it is integrated. Swap the airbag out of its designed environment, and you may have a component that looks correct and fits correctly. What you cannot guarantee is that it will perform correctly in the fraction of a second that actually matters. This was not a theoretical concern manufactured to protect a brand. Cross-vehicle airbag compatibility is a documented issue in automotive safety, engineering. The deployment characteristics of an airbag calibrated for a light, front-wheel drive hatchback traveling at urban speeds are genuinely different from what is required in a car, generating 1,700 horsepower.
Together, they should produce about 1,800 brake horsepower and give you about 37 miles of electric-only range.
Rimac was right about the engineering complexity. He was right about the safety concern. And he was right that an independent builder working without factory specifications could not fully verify the performance envelope of a component installed outside its designed context.
Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
The problem, and it is a problem so precise it almost feels like a trap, is that he was making this argument about components his own factory had originally specified. The Audi A3 airbags that Armstrong installed were not substitutions sourced from a discount supplier. They were the same physical components carrying the same part numbers that Bugatti's own engineers had selected when the car was built in Molsheim. If cross-vehicle airbag compatibility was the safety concern, that concern existed in the original factory build. The argument that an independent mechanic should not install these components was being made by the very institution that had installed them there in the first place. Armstrong's response was measured where it could easily have been combative. He did not attack Rimac personally or dismiss the safety concern as corporate deflection. He walked through the part number evidence methodically. Same components, same fitment, supply chain, and made the case that reinstalling factory specification components did not constitute the safety compromise the criticism implied. He acknowledged viewer concern, addressed it with technical specificity, and in doing so turned a safety warning raised by a CEO into a question about factory practice the CEO had not been expecting to face publicly. What neither man could fully resolve was the deeper conflict beneath the technical dispute. This was never really about airbag calibration. It was about authority, about who holds the right to make decisions over a machine once it has been legally sold. Rimac's safety argument however technically valid, was also a defense of a system in which manufacturers retain control over their products indefinitely after sale. Armstrong's property rights position, however legally grounded, could not fully dismiss the genuine complexity of performing safety-critical repairs outside factory conditions. Both were right, neither was completely right, and that unresolved tension between corporate responsibility and individual ownership is precisely what made this story matter to millions of people who will never own a Bugatti and will never need to worry about a voided warranty on a $6 million car. What the warranty was really buying, step back from the detail of the rebuild for a moment, from the Audi airbags and the brake hose coolant fix and the fabricated radiators and the crushed fuel sensor, and look at what the voided warranty actually represents at a structural level. A warranty is, in its simplest form, a promise. The manufacturer promises that if anything goes wrong with the product under normal use, they will fix it at their expense for a defined period. In the automotive world, that promise serves two purposes simultaneously. It protects the buyer from unexpected repair costs, and it keeps the buyer connected to the manufacturer's service network, ensuring that any work on the vehicle passes through channels the manufacturer controls, documents, and profits from. Bugatti's warranty is the most generous in the hypercar segment by most measures. 4 years unlimited mileage, full coverage. It is also, when examined from the right angle, the most sophisticated lock-in mechanism in the industry. Because a 4-year service and warranty package worth $2 million is not something any rational owner chooses to forfeit lightly. Every service visit, every warranty claim, every interaction with the factory network during that 4-year window keeps the vehicle and its owner within Bugatti's ecosystem. It is excellent customer care. It is also structurally a mechanism for ensuring that no Bugatti in its warranty period is ever touched by hands that Bugatti has not approved. What Mat Armstrong's rebuild proved, involuntarily as a consequence of a situation he did not create, is that this mechanism only functions as long as the manufacturer is willing to honor their side of the arrangement. The moment Bugatti locked the VIN, blocked the parts network, and walked away from the Chiron Pur Sport, they did not simply withdraw their support. They simultaneously invoked warranty terms that required factory compliance while making factory compliance physically impossible. The warranty was being used not as a buyer protection but as a control mechanism, and it was being deployed in a situation where the buyer it was meant to protect had already been abandoned by the institution that wrote it. The $50 Audi airbag is the sharpest possible illustration of what that situation actually produces. A component worth less than the labor cost of a single hour in Bugatti's Molsheim facility. A component that Bugatti themselves had sourced from the Volkswagen Group's shared parts architecture and installed in the original factory build.
We are looking back 3 heavy years where we have a deep readjustment and restructuring in Volkswagen Group.
Became the symbol of everything wrong with the warranty as control model. Because the argument for requiring factory-authorized parts rests entirely on the premise that factory parts are meaningfully different from what any independent builder could source. When the factory parts turn out to be Audi parts, that premise dissolves. What remains after it dissolves is a more honest picture of the hypercar industry than its marketing has ever been willing to offer. These machines are extraordinary engineering achievements. The performance they deliver, the craftsmanship in their assembly, the decades of development embedded in their powertrains. None of that is diminished by the discovery that their airbags share a part number with a compact hatchback. But the mythology of total exclusivity, the idea that a Bugatti exists in a universe entirely separate from the shared infrastructure of mass automotive production, does not survive contact with a parts catalog. And the warranty structure that depends on maintaining that mythology does not survive a VIN lock that leaves an owner with no option but to find out what is actually inside the car they paid $6 million for. Mat Armstrong did not set out to void a $2 million warranty. He set out to fix a car that the factory had decided was not worth fixing. But in the process of fixing it, in every Audi airbag fitted, every radiator fabricated, every brake hose repurposed, every access hole cut, he documented something that no amount of warranty language can put back in the box. The gap between what these cars are sold as and what they are actually built from is real. The control that manufacturers exercise over their products after sale is real. And the question of who truly owns a $6 million machine, the person who bought it or the company that built it, does not have a comfortable answer for anyone who has been paying attention. So let us bring it all together. A $2 million warranty, voided the moment the factory walked away. $50 Audi airbags, sitting in a car that cost $6 million from the factory floor.
It's the $6 million Bugatti Pur Sport that was crashed by Alex.
Custom radiators, brake hose where a coolant pipe should be, a sensor that nearly split the chassis, and an engine that started anyway. What Armstrong uncovered is not just a rebuild story, it is a question about who actually owns these machines once the money changes hands. Was he reckless, or was he simply exercising rights that should never have needed a fight? Drop your answer in the comments. Hit like if this hit different. Subscribe, we are just getting started.